Hello everyone, I hope you're well. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Now I've literally just finished creating the last Thrinchy number 7, and I added that to my YouTube channel, and then I've come back to my desk because I've got other deadlines to meet. And when I came back to the desk, I often spend a great deal of time cleaning, pulling it out, cleaning, pulling it out. And I thought, well, I've got these products on my desk. So in the Thrinchy, I use cracked pistachio and wilted violet. And I thought, well, before I put everything away again, why don't I create another project with those same colours? So sometimes, if you're stuck for inspiration, take a look at the Thrinchies, and then sometimes that can give you an idea maybe to create a journal page or a card or whatever. It might be just using the colours that you've used previously, like I'm doing. And I've literally just taken stock of these Pink Pig journals, which are landscape. Now, I like to use these this way. I love to use them that way. And this is why I bought them in stock, because I usually use another one I got from Amazon. And I thought, well, I may as well test this as well. So I've got these in stock, and they're a good price. I think it's £6.95. And the card is watercolour. It's really thick. And even though it's watercolour, it's smooth. So it's really good quality card. So I thought, I've spent a lot of time as well. Let me just go grab them. She says, I've also spent quite a bit of time, let me move this out the way, creating these Clematis cards that I just absolutely adore. I absolutely love them. So I've done YouTube videos with the Clematis cards as well. And sometimes you don't have to move away from the colour combination that you've been using. You can use that if you wish. So those Clematis cards inspired the Thrinchy. The Thrinchy is inspiring me to do a journal page. So I'm going to test this beautiful journal. So I'm going to use, let me just grab again. Let me just, there we go. I'm going to grab the Clematis stamp. There we go. So I'm going to take the Clematis stamp, and I'm going to create a journal page. I like to show you that your stamps don't have to just be used for cards. They don't have to just be used for Thrinchies. The idea is that you use your product and you enjoy it. So I'm going to use TE5. Let's take our stamp. I'm just obsessed with this Clematis at the moment. It's just wonderful. So I love using the journal this way. You might prefer to use it the other way. Also, you can do like me and mix it up. Use some pages that way, use some pages this way, which is why I like it so much. So I think what I'm going to, I've got a nice sturdy base, so it should be okay. And I think I'm going to add the Clematis sort of coming down the page. So I'm going to use Distress Oxide Wilted Violet. So let's just take the wilted violet. I need to get my pencils out, my coloured pencils, but I haven't got them out. But hey ho, it doesn't matter, does it? So I'm using wilted violet Distress Oxide ink. And I'm going to use it. You've got to be aware of the spine here, but that's fine. So I'm going to use this here. And I've got a nice sturdy base that I'm working on because it's the first page of the journal. So that should be absolutely fine. Now, because we're using the watercolour card in here, it should move very easily, which is wonderful. Now, I should have a mask. I've got a mask. So let's not create a mask. Let's place the mask. I can't speak. Onto there. And then we'll take the wilted violet once again. And obviously I can now move this ink as well. So let's bring this one up here like so. Like this. And that's why I like creating different projects, because it can inspire you in different ways. And that's what brings me joy. The fact that things can be used in so many different ways. There we go. So bring this down and then makes your eyes go a bit funny initially when you see the clematis all stamped together. But when you bring it to life, that's part of the fun. Tracy faffs with a mask forever. So again, I'm going to take the wilted violet. And for me, this is what creating's about. You don't have to stress. It doesn't matter if you use the same colour over and over for several projects. It doesn't matter. The whole point of it is the enjoyment. And if there's a certain colour scheme you like and you can't get motivated, then use your favourite colour scheme. That will help you to get motivated to use those stamps and products. Let's just give that a little bit of a press. There we go. And I can just lift that up. So when you first look at it, it makes your eyes go funny. It does me anyway. Perhaps it's just me. It's a bit. And because I keep changing the clematis around, I have to get my head around which way the mask needs to go. I know, poor old soul. Right, let's just add. Now, really get the use out of your stamps. They're invaluable. I think stamps are invaluable. Let's have that one there. Now, if you're working in a journal and you haven't got a firm base, just put a book underneath your page, just to give you a firm platform to work on. There we go. Just to give you a firm platform. Wow, I got it the first time then. That's a miracle. There we go. And take the clematis again. And which way are you going? Let's have this. No, I'm going to have it that. Oh, you see, did you see then? I nearly hit the other one. So I need two. Oh, come on, Tracy. I need two masks. There we go. So I've just put the masks in place because then I don't over stamp on the florals. There we go. And I'm going to keep these masks because that will just allow me to work out where the florals are. Okay, so I've got my stamp. I've just wiped that clean. And then what I'm going to do, I haven't left any pencils out because I did have a little bit of a tidy up. So which do we want? So I want some of the purples. So I want the lavender, the lilac, what was it now? Black cherry. Let's have something different. Let's have a dark purple. And then a fourth colour, black grape. So before I sort of add any water, I'm actually going to add some colour with pencils just to my background. It's taking me longer to get comfortable on the seat than anything else. And there we go. Right, I like to get myself comfortable. Now normally I just use a dark, medium and light, but I'm going to use an even darker colour just to add some depth. So first of all, our priority should always be, let me just, I've got sharpenings everywhere. So I'm going to take my sharpener and I'm just going to sharpen my pencils. I always find that working with a point on the pencil really works nicely for me. There we go. Don't ask me why I'm keeping these sharpenings. That just needs a little bit of a sharpen. And then the very dark colour, because that's going to add my detailing. And because that's going to add my detailing, I want it quite sharp. There we go. So bring these pencils in and I'm going to put them in order that I'm going to use them. So I'm going to use the dark. So I'm just going to use the dark. And I'm not really pressing very hard at all. So I'm just going to add sort of a layer of this dark colour. Does help to tell you the colour. Dark purple, PC931. Now, I like to do a mix on my YouTube channel. I like to do a mix of quick videos. I like to do a mix of longer videos. And this is going to be a longer video. So that's got the dark on. I'm then going to put the dark in here as well. So you just have to just watch where you're, just bring that down here, where your petals are. So I'm going to add a little bit of dark here. So because I've sort of coloured, I've stamped everything in the same colour, you know, sort of a purple colour, that means it's a bit like no line colouring. You just don't get, just bear with me a second. So you just bear with me a second, Ian. I'm recording. Are you not going to wait for the postman?
I want to go now.
Right, so if you just kind of colour your stem, your petals like so. So colour each one. So excuse me then, just pairing off because my husband is supposed to be listening out for the postman. And then was announcing he's going to the gym. So just add that. So I may have to just stop for a second just to hand the post over to the postman, which is just what my videos are always about. You can't make it up. So just follow your florals around like so. So you just have to be careful and just follow your floral a little bit. So just follow that. So I'm just adding this very sort of dark colour just to the ends and just to this area here. And at the moment, you really haven't got any definition or anything. That's the whole point of the colouring. You're just adding layers. So I'm taking this dark colour and just adding it. You just have to follow. And if you're not sure, because you've stamped it in sort of not a detailed stamp, take your Clematis and you can see just where the petal, where it should go. There we go. So you can use your mask, because obviously you've not stamped in that black where you can see all the detail. It's here. So there you go. So just ink this like so. Honestly, you can't make it up in my house. You tell people you're going to record a video and can they just listen out for the door? Yes, no problem. So I start recording a video and then they announce that they're going to the gym. So therefore there's only me listening out for the postman, which means he'll come just during the video. That's what happens in this house. This is what recording videos is like in this house. But it's the real me. At least you know what I'm like. So just, and obviously I'm creating in real life, just like you will be, with disturbances. It is what it is. I don't edit out anything. I like to show real life. So we've got that first layer of colouring, which was the dark purple PC931. And then I'm going to use the lilac to bring in the second layer of colour and go into that first layer of colour. Now there's going to be a lot of colouring in this, so if you wish and you don't want to watch the colouring, you can fast forward, no problem at all. So normally I will do one flower at a time, but sometimes if I'm doing a page like this, I just think it's fine to do all the petals at the same time. Now what I'm not doing is I'm not getting carried away and colouring the whole thing too quickly. So I'm not adding layers of that colour too quickly. I'm just taking my time and adding gentle layers of that colour. Just adding gentle layers. There we go. Let's add these. So just enjoy yourself. I love colouring, and if you only want to do the colouring stage and you don't want to do anything else, then you don't have to. It's entirely up to you. So here I've got a floral. So yes, that is part of the floral there. I'm just bringing And again, you've got no definition to that yet. You're just laying these colours down very lightly. And hopefully you're enjoying that. You're just placing the colour down quite lightly. We want to add some definition towards the end. So just coming, did I tell you this colour? Lilac, PC956. The journal is A5 size. And I decided in 2025, sometimes we're dictated by, you know, what people say to us. So I decided in 2025, I'm not rushing anything, whether it's a Thrinchy, whether it's a snippet, I'm just doing it in my own pace. I'm not going to time anything. I'm just going to enjoy the creative process and just be me. That's who I am. I like to just enjoy the creative process, warts and all. So I'm just adding the second colour. And there's nothing too complicated about this at all. Nothing complicated at all. I tell you what, the hardest bit is that I keep missing certain petals. So that's why you'll see me go back to the darker colour. Okay, so this is what we've got at the moment, just building those layers up. And then I'm going to go back to my lightest colour, which is lavender, PC934. And then I'm going to just come in and just blend with the lightest colour. Just blend all that. Blend into the lightest colour. Now, if you're the kind of person that just likes a very light colouring, then you do you. That's absolutely fine. I haven't added the second colour to this petal. I told you I miss petals, didn't I? So easy to do. So this is just sort of the one layer of colour, just to add a base layer of that colour. And what this does is you can sort of then see where you're going, especially when you've added as many Clematis as I've added. It just shows you where you are going. Let's just, we've got no dimension, depth or anything at the moment. We've just got that base colour down. So just laying that base colour down. So it's sort of one layer of colour. And this video is obviously going to be a lot longer because we're colouring, and it always takes a little bit longer should you colour. Again, I'm just going to place this in place just so I can see, yeah, just where. That's better, yeah, so bring this down here. Once you start adding some definition, it becomes easier to colour. Now, when you watch professional artists, when they're colouring, they never lay down too much pigment too soon. I'm no professional, I just do what makes me happy. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to use the black grape. And what I'm going to do is just define just the edge of the sort of the centre of the floral. So I'm just going to bring in a little bit of definition just to this central area here. So I'm just using the very dark, what did I say it was called? Black Grape 996. Do you know I'd be dangerous if I had half a brain? So I'm just using this sort of the black grape just to bring a little bit of definition just to the central area. That's just, I'm going to pick up my paper mask and just make sure that that is part of the, so I'm just very lightly bringing in a little bit of depth to the sort of centre area, just so that we've got that centre piece of the floral more defined, just so that you can, again, don't press too hard. You've got nowhere to go if you press too hard. So I'm just giving the centre area just a little bit more definition. And what I'm going to do is then just add a little touch of that black grape just to the edges as well, just to the edges. And here as well, just so that it just is more defined where it overlays the floral. And then let's go around. So where the flowers sort of overlay, I'm just adding a little bit more definition and just colouring the edges, just so that it just becomes a little bit more defined. And it just brings in a little bit more depth to the florals. Obviously at the moment it's a little bit blocky, but we don't mind that. So here, when it overlays, if you can't sort of see, well, that's not that, is it, Tracy? You are, oh crikey. Do you like how I'm trying to work out my floral and I can't work it out? If you can't work it out, just use your mask just to, because sometimes, you know, it plays with your eye a little bit, especially when everything is one colour. So just bring in that mask, that paper mask, and then you can just see where you're going. So just add a little bit of definition just around here. Again, don't press on too hard. Just make sure you're just careful that you don't press too hard initially. Now, we just need to do the little points as well, just with a little bit of that darkness. you're coming into here. So a little bit of darkness there. So it just takes you a little bit of time just to see where each little petal is. Like so. A little bit of debris there. So just adding it to the point. So there's a little bit of a point here. Where else? We want to add a little bit here. So just giving a little bit of definition. You are, hang on a minute, where are you now? So this is you, so you've got a point. Hang on a minute, where have you got? See, because when you use a mask, it plays with your eye a little bit. So just bringing in a little bit, there we go. A little bit of that definition. And as you start to build those layers, you can see that it sort of comes to life. So we're just going to go around here. Just bring that around here as well. Now, don't press on too hard. I know I repeat myself because you don't want to press too hard because you've then got nowhere to go. You can't blend anything out because you've already pressed too hard. So let's have a look at what we've got. Ouch. So you can see we're sort of just building up those layers. And if you just want to do that bit and not carry on, you do that bit, it's absolutely fine. Move that colour out the way for your definition and come back to your dark colour, which is dark purple. And then with your dark purple, come and lay a little bit more colour now. So come and layer a little bit more colour. Don't ask me why I've randomly done this floral rather than that floral first. There's no reasoning. So just come and add the dark colour. So this is your dark purple 931. And come and blend that into the black grape. So you're pressing a little bit harder now, and what you're doing is you are adding more depth and definition to your design, and you're smoothing out your colour. Now where the petal comes here, I'm just going to make it a little bit darker, just so that that petal stands out. Then I've got the dark here, and we want it here as well, just to blend that out. And again, where this petal overlaps here, just make that a little bit darker, just so you can see where that overlaps. Okay, let's add a little bit here. And again, where this petal overlaps, just give it a little bit more definition. Then we'll come to the first one. I'm using Prismacolor pencils. It doesn't matter what pencils you're using, of your choice. I'm then going to come in and just add more layers of that colour. So just adding the darker layer just to the design, and it just gives it more life, more depth. Again, I will reiterate, if you don't wish to watch the colouring, just fast forward. But I like to do everything properly, just so you can see exactly what I'm doing. And now you can see where it overlaps there. Just bring a little bit more darkness. Also bring a little bit more darkness here. And for me, the joy of colouring is when you see it all come to life. It just brings so much joy. So I need to reiterate that a little bit more. There we go. And then, and this colour reminds me of the Clematis that you see in gardens, and it's a very dark purple. It's just lovely. Now I've got it overlapping here. Oh, so bear with me, ladies and gents. There's the postman at the door, so it's going to go silent. Hello there. I've got 3 extra, if that's okay. Only 3 this time. Thank you very much. Cheers. Thank you. Have a good day. Bye. And I'm back. Ladies and gents, welcome to the real world of Tracy Evans. You can't make it up. I actually planned for my hubby to do that, but never mind, it is what it is. Let's not get stressed over it. So, let's come back and add some more of this colour, and just a reminder, it's dark purple, PC931. There you go. And then, oh, to have one of those YouTube channels where it's beautifully airbrushed and everything else, but it just isn't me. It just isn't me, because it's not my real life, so there's no point me doing something that really isn't me. So this petal here is coming around the other petal, so you want to add a little bit more definition there. So come in and add. So the other thing that this is showing you is that just because I've designed a stamp and it's got black on there, like, let me bring the packaging in, like this, doesn't have to be black. Really doesn't have to be black at all. So let's add a little bit more colour there. And you can see these petals are overlapping here. So just give a little bit more definition to that. So I can't even see the edge of it. I'm like, where's this card in this book is so thick. It's brilliant. It's lovely and smooth as well. So let's just add this. And this is me genuinely coming upstairs and just using the products that were on my desk. I'm then going to go to the lavender, which is PC9 3, 4. And when the light's shining on it, I can't see what it is. So let's just bring the lavender. And with your lavender, go into your darker colour, just to blend that out, just so that you don't get any harsh lines. And what you do, oh, honestly, I love Prismacolor. What you do is you can see it smoothing out before your very eyes. It's just wonderful. It just smooths out before your very eyes as you layer the colour down. It just becomes smoother and you end up with a floral that has more definition. And every time you do it, you can see just where something overlaps, that it just needs a little bit more definition. But if you don't press too hard, and as you can see, it doesn't matter which floral you do first, because Tracy's all over the place. She just randomly picks whatever petal. And that's because I am enjoying myself, just colouring away. And the difference as you add more of that colour, it's just amazing. Let's do this little bit here. And who would think that we'd got those black areas that I added to the stamp? You just wouldn't know, would you? Because now those black areas are purple, like so. Let's just add that there. Now this one needs a little bit more definition. And so does that area there. But honestly, I could spend ages faffing around. But that's what colouring does for me. I don't know what, no idea why I didn't do the top floral. I obviously got something against that top floral. And what you can see is, you can see that you're smoothing out and you're filling in the areas of the page. Now, obviously there are special terms for everything. I personally, when I do my YouTube channel, I like to break it down in simple terms, simple layman terms, so that everybody can understand exactly what I am doing and everybody else can achieve the same results. It's just a little bit of practice. There we go. So just layering down, and again I'll remind you, this is Lavender PC934. This is my lightest colour that I am layering down. And for me, it's now sort of definitely coming to life. Just beautifully. So for some reason I decided not to do first one. No idea why. Let's just colour this area. And every page will sort of talk to you differently when you're colouring. Because I suppose it depends where you stamp everything and layer everything. That also plays a part. I've gone over the edge a little bit there. That doesn't matter because I'm going to go over the edge with colour anyway. Okay. So what we've got now is it's all got a little bit more definition, hasn't it? Just beautiful. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to come back to the black grape. And what I'm going to do now is just have a look just where I want a little bit more definition. So where the petals overlap each other in this sort of central area here, you want everything to sort of pop. So I'm just adding a little bit there as well. So just take your time, just have a look at where you've got petals overlapping, just to make sure that you can see where they're overlapping, just so that you've got a little bit more shading and definition if they're overlapping each other. And just have a look. So what I'm going to do then is I'm going to go back to the dark purple, and I'm just going to add my last layer. So this is my last layer. Just adding the dark purple. So this is my last layer, and I'm just smoothing everything out. So I'm just adding 3 layers, and this is my last layer to the card now. So I'm just adding the last layer, and I'm smoothing everything out completely now. Just to give the final bit of definition. So you'll find that you sort of smooth out and fill in the white gaps on your card. Just as you add your final layer of that dark colour. And it does, it actually smooths out before your very eyes. But now if you pressed on too hard in the beginning, you can't actually add any more colour, because you then get that shine because you pressed too hard. Now I haven't got any definition just there where it adds over the top. Now when you're colouring, It's not really something that you can rush. I personally think it's important to show every stage. So that you don't miss anything that I'm doing. There we go. I just lose myself when I'm colouring. And sometimes you can forget to talk as you're doing it. So easy. There we go. And I'm bound to miss areas because that's just me all over. So then I'm going to go to that mid colour, which is the lilac. And then I should do the top one first because that'll give that just time to rest. So this is my last layer now. So I can press on a little bit harder, just with that last layer. Just sort of blending the colour out. And I'm trying to do them sort of in order so that they've had a little bit of time to rest. So I don't break everything down, as in card wise, too soon. Wonderful. Now when you're colouring on your own, obviously it doesn't take quite as long because obviously you're not waffling to somebody on the video. And as you begin to colour and add those layers, you can see just how smooth you can get everything. There we go. And the journal then, I've just got a memory of what I have created. But it's also important to show you how you can make your stamps look completely different. And this is the floral that I did last, and hence I'm coming to it last. And if you only want to use 2 colours, that's absolutely fine. I always like to add a little bit more. And then I'm going to go to my lightest colour, which is the lavender. Now this video is probably one to watch when you've got plenty of time just to sit and watch the stages develop. Just so you can see them develop at each stage and how it transforms at each stage. There we go. And we do want to add a little bit more to this as well. So we haven't finished our page yet. You want to spend time just making sure that you're happy with your results. So what I'm going to do then is I always like to grab a little bit of a white pencil and just sort of blend the centre area with a little bit of white. That's just me. I do like a little bit of white, just because when you've added that last colour, I just sort of like to blend that last colour out as well. So I'm just using a little bit of a touch of white just in the area there. It's nothing much, it's just sort of a little touch of the white. Now what I'm going to do is, because I know where I can now actually see the clematis and I can see what I'm doing. So I'm just going to spritz the card with water and see if there's any of that oxide ink that will still move. Now, because you've got this watercolour, the movement is beautiful. And also, if you don't want it to go on the other page, so you don't want it to go on the other page, just put this copy of paper underneath. Now, what I've got is I've got the oxide, and because I've got water, nothing moves like watercolour card, nothing. Because I've got the watercolour card, the ink moves, but also I've used that oxide ink, and therefore it's moving in the background. I can add a little bit more of that water. And what I don't have to worry about, I don't have to worry one bit that I'm going to lose the detail, because obviously the waxy from the pencil, the wax from the pencil's not going to move. But I've now got some background that coordinates beautifully. Now that page is soaking wet and that is taking it, no problem at all. So let's grab a heat tool. And I have to say I'm impressed because that paper is sopping wet. I'm just going to dry this now. But what you can do is, because you're not bothered about too much moisture here, you can just mop a little bit of that up. You want the moisture here because you want it to move. The vibrancy is just wonderful. So let's dry this now. They almost look like they're floating. Makes me happy. So you've got that oxide ink under there. Now I could have spritzed first, but if I'd have spritzed first, like I did on my card, because there's so many clematis, unlike my card where there was only one, you lose where you've got to colour. So this way you can see where you've got to colour quite easily. Now we've got quite a bit of moisture there, so let's just mop that up a little bit. And what's wonderful is the page is not broken down because it's that watercolour, it's taken it beautifully. So we're just going to give that a really good dry. Now what I want to show you is this paper underneath is sopping wet because I spritzed it. Obviously, of course, it's going to be wet. So just give that a dry. Now with your journals, you close the book. So it doesn't bother me if I get a bit of purple on the next page. It really doesn't bother me in the slightest. So I can just dry that. And this card is taking it beautifully. And obviously when I close the book, that'll just flatten everything down. You can, if I just turn the page over for you, let me show you. It's not affected the page underneath, not a problem at all. Yes, I'm loving that card. In fact, there's so much moisture, it's all over my non-stick craft sheet, and it's not, this page has taken it beautifully, just so that you can see. It almost looks luminous, just wonderful. I absolutely adore that. So just give that a thorough dry. And the only reason you're giving it a thorough dry is so that we can add more detail. Oh, just love that. Oh, it makes me happy. And that is from a card I created and just using the inks that were on my desk. Absolutely adore that. Right, let's take my circular templates now. I think this is 3 1/4, this is 2 3/4. And I'm going to add a circle element here. Now, I'm aware this is a longer page to do, but I don't want to just be doing one type of project because everybody likes variety. I like variety. So is there anywhere that I've missed? So now I've added this circle here. Doesn't matter what size your circle is, you can have that any size you wish. Let's just move these out of the way. So now what I want to do is, I've got my purple on here, it's beautiful. I want to add some of the cracked pistachio. So let's take the cracked pistachio. Now my cracked pistachio is super light, so it's going to take some layers of that cracked pistachio. I just want to add little bits of the cracked pistachio. If you want to, you could add your cracked pistachio pencils. But what I'm trying to show you is how you can do it just with inks. I absolutely love that. And I love how reactive this journal is. Oh, amazing. Being creative makes me so happy. And even when it doesn't work, I'm still happy. Let's grab a little bit more of that cracked pistachio, just for a little bit more depth of that colour. Got a little bit of debris there, but that's from the waxy pencils. I'll sort that out afterwards. Just adding a little bit of the cracked pistachio. Just so that that's on there. Let's just mop that up for now. And just dab that bit of debris up. There we go. A few little waxy debris bits and pieces, but there you go. I'm then going to take my Inktense pencil just to add a little bit of shading around, and it moves beautifully again because it's that watercolour, so that moves really nicely. And obviously I will bring the card in. That's obviously, you know, the inspiration for this piece, so I will bring that in afterwards. So I need to dry that a little bit more now. Oh, does this make me happy? And what I've done over the last several videos is shown you how one stamp, you can use it in many different ways with a limited colour palette. And I've shown that over the last few days. So with the card, I also used, let's grab, I've got the background stamps out. Nobody ever knows whether I've got them out or not. Yes, underneath the piece of paper, Tracy. So then, just like I did with the card, I'm going to use stamp set TE16 Artsy Alphas and Numbers. Put that there. Just like I did with my card, which I will bring in at the end. And I'm going to take Morning Mist VersaFine Clair. I'm just going to ink the stamp up, and I'm going to get rid of the first generation stamping, and I'm going to obviously remember the mask, so which will take me forever, I was going to say, to decide where it's going. And then I'm going to add a little bit of stamping. Now this is the second generation, just like I did with my card, and I'm going to lift this up so that you can see once I've finished. So don't ink over your work, so just ink. I'm then going to take the first generation off, and then I'm going to take the second generation and add that to the background. Now what I'm doing is, look at the layers on that. Just beautiful, but it's not too overpowering. Just wonderful. So I'm going to extend that text a little bit. So I want some over here. Tracy, you're not very good at getting this in the right place, lovey. What are you doing, Wes? I can't get it in the right place. Where's that? That's because it's the wrong way round, you drip. Oh, for goodness sake. There's no hope. Poor little soul. Right, so let's pick up that ink again. Get rid of the first generation. And then let's add some of that second generation. Just wonderful. Let's leave that in place. This time using the mask the right way around. Good grief. There is no hope. So a little bit more of the stamp this time. First generation on here. And then I'm going to add the second generation down here. And because it's the second generation, it's just lovely. You can even add a little bit of third generation if you wish. So let's just add a little bit more. Take off the first generation and let's just make it so that these look like they're actually stamped letters. That's better. And again, take the first generation, stamp that off, and then just add the second generation. Lovely, lovely, lovely. So again, ink, stamp off the excess, even the stamping off piece. Look how you can use this stamp so beautifully. You can just keep adding to it. That's perfect. Right, let's just take. But you can just create with it like that. Just lovely. And we've got our wonderful page coming together. And I've got this page to keep then. So I'm going to grab TE32, just like with the card, and I'm going to use the little hair. Which hair do I want? That one that's facing that way. Let's bring in the little hair. I'm going to use my black ink, my Nocturne. Plenty of ink on there. I'm going to add my little hair just here. Now there's quite a bit of ink on there, so just hold that on there for a few moments. Let's make sure my hands are clean. I'm going to add a little bit of grounding, just so that our little hair doesn't appear floating. Take some of that off. There we go, and just blend that out. So we've got our little hair on there. Oh, just love it. Absolutely love this. So what I'm going to do then is I'm just going to bring a little bit, where are you, of the purple. You see the purple here? I'm just going to bring a little bit of TE11 background elements, just with the wilted violet for the text. And I'm just going to bring a little bit of text as a second layer into those grey sort of artsy alphas and numbers. And I'm going to show you how you this sort of pushes back the layer. Oh, just lovely. Just add that. And let's bring in this. And let's bring in a little bit of text just here as well. Okay, so what we've got now is we've got the purple text sort of on top of the grey to bring this purple into the whole of the image. Now, I've added a little bit of purple here. Now, I want to add some text to these Clematis just to make it look a little bit more botanical. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean off the oxide, just so that doesn't affect my next stamping, which is with a VersaFine Clair. And I'm going to use the Morning Mist. So I'm going to use a little bit of the Morning Mist, but this time with the first generation, because that purple is very rich. And I will lift this up so you can see what the text does. Let me just add this. So I'm going to keep adding until I'm happy with the text. Oh God, I just adore this. And this is what happens when you really play with your stamps. Sometimes, you know, you just have lots of deadlines and then you don't get to play with certain stamps and really sort of play with them and see what they can do. But you can see I've got the text now just on the floral. You can see September, October there, just so that you can see that. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to give that page a dry, mainly because I've stamped that VersaFine Clair onto that waxy surface. Well, it's not going to be absorbent with that wax on there, so I'm just going to dry those layers. Just dry those layers. There we go. And then I'm going to add some touches of white, just to add a little bit of highlights just here and there, just to the florals, just so that you've got a little bit. And I'm sort of very lightly holding the pen just to add a little sort of very light touches of that white, just so that it gives a little bit of detail. Just to your florals. And obviously I need to add a little bit of detail here. It just brings everything to life a little bit, just by adding those layers. And I like just adding little bits at a time, because I can add to it, but I can't take it away. So I'm going very gently with that, because I can come in and add a little bit more detail afterwards. So let's just make sure that we remember the hair, just so those have got touches of the white as well, just so you can see how that's coming together. Doesn't it look just lovely? So what I'm going to do now, just with my Inktense pencil, which isn't sharp, so we really need to sharpen that. So let's grab the bin. There we go. Do you like it? I've got little pencil extenders as well that I can use just because a couple of friends bought me some pencil extenders. I can use the extenders to prolong the pencil. Look at the Inktense pencil. I can't help myself. So let's go with the first one. I'm just going to add a little bit of the black just around, so this is a little bit of black Inktense pencil. Let's bring in my water so that I can, that's too much water, Tracy, just so that I can blend a little bit of the shading out. A little bit more. There we go. So just bringing a little bit more of the detail out. Just to give a little bit more shading just to the central area of the floral. Now I've hardly got any moisture on there. Well, I haven't now anyway. I did initially, I had too much. Just to bring a little bit of shading out. Just a little bit. There we go. So just bringing a little bit in sort of the crevicey area. A little bit more water. It's a little bit too dry. So just bringing a little bit of shading out. Just to sort of make things pop a little bit more. So just here. It's so much easier when the pencil is sharp. If you've got too much black on there, just blend it out a little bit, or you can dab it or whatever. You don't want too much, you just want a little bit, just to give a little bit more definition, just right into the sort of areas here. Oh, upside down pencil, and when it gets too dark, just blend that out. So I'm just adding a little bit more darkness to these areas here, just where it comes right in to the floral. I told you I could faff for England. So you've got more definition there. A little bit of shadowing in here and here. And if you keep your brush sort of so that it's not got too much moisture on, you'll have more control. And only add a little bit more water if you just want to take away those edges. So let's just so that you can see, just give it a little bit more depth. And what I'm going to do now is just spritz the page with water, just ready for doing my Posca white pen, because the Posca pen will then start to diffuse into the watery background, which also adds a nice effect. To your card. So it really sort of adds to it. Let's just dab you up a bit. There you go. So because it's got that watery backdrop, the Posca pen diffuses in some areas. And where it's drier in others, let me show you. Get rid of that moisture. And where it's drier, it just obviously stays the white, but you'll see it sort of, it diffuses in areas. So you can then, once it's done, it's sort of diffused a little bit, dry that so it doesn't react any further. So just give that a thorough dry now so it doesn't react any further. And I don't know why I waft like this. It's just a habit I've got into. There's no need to waft like I'm doing like that. I could just want to show you where it's diffused a little bit. Right, so now I can show you here where it sort of diffuses a little bit. That adds to the background. So what I do then is I'm going to come in again with the next layer of white, just to add a little bit more definition now, just to the central area, just to add a little bit more. Just to these areas as well. And you can just add sort of a few little dots as if you've got little bits of pollen on there, like so. Go in, just add a little bit more definition with your pen. And honestly, I could spend ages just adding details. There we go. Just so that you can see that. And then I'm going to add the wording from the Clematis. So I'm going to take, let's put this stamp back. She says. Actually, I don't need a big block like that. Place that back. I'm going to take the Clematis wording. Just add the Clematis, and I'm going to do this in the black, so it's in the foreground. And you see, I wasn't concentrating then, so let's just tap that a bit more. And then we're going to add the Clematis text just here, like so. And again, my book's quite sturdy, so it's got that stability underneath. So just take the Clematis, and then you look for your stamps and think, where are they? There you go. And then we're going to add a little bit of shading under there, just so that we can see that away from the project. And then just blend that. A little bit more water, just to soften the edges a little bit. And then I've even got my piece of card that I used for the Thrinchy. I can place that over the top, and then I'm going to add more layers of the Posca. Just to give a little bit more whiteness. Now there's no point trying to sort of add the Posca pen unless you get the paint going. You need to get your paint going. So now my journal page is finished, and I just love that. And that was inspired by this card that we created on the YouTube video not long ago. So use your own cards to give you inspiration, because it really helps. So it's completely flat. It could be a card, a journal, a Thrinchy, a snippet, whatever you wish. So I hope you enjoyed that little workshop and you'll give it a go. Love to all, and I'll see you all soon. Bye for now.